Welcome back. All right, let's talk a little bit this morning about voting. And of course, voting, one of our most important civil rights, but it isn't always accessible for paralyzed veterans and others with disabilities. And this morning, we're going to focus on that a little bit and about a group that's trying to change that. Very happy this morning to be joined today to discuss this with former Navy SEAL and the immediate past president of Paralyzed Veterans of America, Al Kovac. Good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so there's been a lot of attention on voting these days, no doubt about that. But talk about how important this is for veterans and really making sure that this is accessible, because I think some people, I for one, maybe don't realize what some of the bigger issues are.
That's right. Paralyzed Veterans of America has been in the advocacy business for 75 years, and we were able to get a landmark legislation passed back in 1990 called the Americans with Disabilities Act. And surprisingly, 30 years later, we still have the challenges of enforcing those laws. So we just learned that, it's very alarming that we just learned that less than 50% of polling stations are accessible. So that means not just paralyzed
what
veterans.
What does accessible mean? Like, what are they not, what is not available?
Well, it depends on state by state, polling station by polling station. It can mean a lack of something simple like a lack of handicap parking spots or accessible path of travel, but there's also polling stations that have stairs or their doors are too narrow. Then, so you take into consideration that less than 50% of the polling stations are accessible. Now you're also talking about 60 million people are being denied the right to vote. And it's extremely frustrating to veterans because veterans are, former service members. They served overseas to protect Americans' right to vote, only to come home disabled and being denied that right to vote. So that's why Paralyzed Veterans of America has created this campaign called Access Your Vote, which is designed to help people with disabilities vote safely and securely. So I would encourage your viewers to go to pba.org/vote and plan how you're going to vote this year.
So how can you do that? I mean, how is there, my first question, is it too late to change polling places and where people can actually do this and maybe have a better location that's more accessible?
So I live in San Diego and you guys are over there in Tampa, right? So
yeah,
laws, the polling stations over there are different than polling stations over here. So that's why I encourage your viewers to go to pba.org/vote. There you'll see state by state specific information about the polling stations. There's also the opportunity to vote early. And in fact, some states have opened up their voting already. And then there's also a checklist on the website that helps you go through 6 or 7 points that you want to make sure you have checked off so that you plan your vote properly. Being living in San Diego, I was denied the right to vote about 20 years ago because the polling station wasn't accessible. So I've been voting by mail, but that's a personal choice. Some people would rather go there in person and cast that vote. As a matter of fact, one of the issues we talk about is making sure your family members go to that website, because a lot of people with disabilities require the assistance of a family member to cast their vote.
Yeah. Well, what is your take-home message as we get it ready to wrap up here? And again, I just can't think of a better veterans. As you said, they've fought for our country. They've put in the work. They, more than anybody, need the accessibility to vote, how they choose to do so.
That is correct. It is very frustrating, but that's what PVA does every day. So that's why I would ask that you all go to pva.org/vote and plan your vote.
Well, and I'd imagine that this is not just, obviously it's a bigger spotlight right now because we're in there, that voting, window is getting so close, but I'd imagine you guys work on this year round.
That's right. That's right. It's every day it's another challenge.
Yeah. Well, Al, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate your time. We've been showing the website, and of course, we'll put that more on our website as well.
Great. Thank you so much for helping us get the word out.
All right. Stay right there. We'll be right back.